Welcome everybody to Tech Breakfast.
Is Dominic.
Is he here now? Yeah, Barry was going through some of the stuff. He's testing 5 new mics right now from 5 different companies, I think it is. Um, and some of them are like, hey, Dominic.
Hi, everybody.
So, so we're all here. Gary Lux is going to talk about, Gary and Dominic are going to talk about SyncDNA, and I'm going to let them take it over from here, and they're going to give you the overview to what we're talking about, and then we'll revisit what Barry Rudolph was talking about with some of his mics, because he's got a bunch of new mics from a bunch of different manufacturers. So take it away, Gary and Dominic.
Okay, so good day, everyone. Tony and Barry, thank you very much for this opportunity to be here and do this. I'm Gary Lux, of course. I am the executive chairman of Synchronicity Media, a Norwegian company and the parent company of SyncDNA with subsidiaries in the US and Canada. It's taken us almost 5 years in the making of SyncDNA, a difficult task to be sure, and we are all well aware of the tools you are all using to solve these issues and who our competitors are. With that being said, those products are streaming over the elastic and unreliable internet, and we built a product that is gear-driven, sprocket-driven, and is sample and frame accurate from anywhere in the world and has a communication built in it. Imagine that. We have limited time here to show you SyncDNA. So if you let us get through the demo, we'll unpack as much as we can, time permitting, when we're finished. And one other thing, my friends, I wouldn't stand in front of a group of my peers like you and purport something that didn't work. We all know in life we have one shot to make a good impression. And I'm sure you all want to know how we deal with collaboration's four-letter word, latency. So with that, Dominic, please take over.
Awesome. Well, good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for being here and allowing us the space to share what we've built. We're greatly appreciative of that. So I will dive in here. John is actually our CTO. John Bailey is sitting on our application over here. So I think I can screen share. Oh,
One
fantastic.
other thing, Dominic, if I
Yes.
can, everyone, our CEO, Jan Erik Corvey, is here today with us today, listening from Norway, and just wanted to let everybody know that. Okay.
Wonderful. All right. So I have everybody here. Okay. And everybody can see my screen here. Okay, great. Let me just show John. Hey, John, there we go. So we're screen sharing now. Everyone's in the Zoom. Okay, so what we're looking at here is the SyncDNA standalone app.
We're not seeing anything so far,
Oh,
Dominic.
you're not seeing anything.
Not so far. Do I need to do something here?
It says you are screen.
Yeah, I see
I
his
can
screen.
see a screen.
I see him. Okay, go ahead if you guys are seeing it.
I see his
Maybe
screen.
maybe turn it off and back on again, Dom.
Okay,
Yeah.
one second.
I'm seeing the screen
I'm
share though.
seeing it. Yeah.
Let me do it again.
Go ahead.
I'm in.
There it is.
All good now?
All good? Okay. All right, so here we have the SyncDNA standalone application. This is a standalone app, and it's only connected to Pro Tools via a set of 3 plugins. So what I have here is an Atmos mix session with a couple different pieces of content. We have a trailer, I have a nice piece of music here, and then we have the film, which I'm sure you're familiar with, Dune, as well. And so I can show you here, we are using the Dolby Atmos internal renderer for the time being. Now, this application does not require Atmos content. We're just using that for the demo purposes. This is perfectly suited for stereo audio work. We have a lot of clients who are doing music mix reviews and so forth, just in stereo. So what I'll go ahead and show here is that we have 3 plugins. So the first plugin is the SyncDNA main plugin. And that plugin is responsible for getting all of the timeline information directly from Pro Tools into the standalone app. So if I'm scrubbing here, you'll see the time code in the application is synced with the time code in Pro Tools. Now, the next plugin is the transmit plugin. Now, what this plugin does is it allows for us to be able to select specific users in which we want to transmit audio to. So I have a bunch of re-renders at the top of my session here, going from 916 all the way down to stereo. So John is actually connecting with an audio profile that he set up in his standalone SyncDNA application. And that profile is a 7.1.4 profile. So I can actually select 7.1.4 as it's reported here. And from there, I am free to transmit this 714 re-render to his studio. Now, if I had somebody else on the session, let's say who was joining in a 5.1 room or a stereo room, I would also be able to transmit any of those formats simultaneously to any given participant. And then the last plugin that we have is our secret sauce plugin, and that is the delay plugin. And this plugin doesn't do anything except in screening mode. When we'll get to the, we'll quickly review all the system modes that we have here. And in this mode, this plugin actually in screening mode delays the audio of my local workstation and synchronizes it with all of the participants on the session. Meaning if I need to do a review session of a piece of content that's anywhere from a couple minutes to several hours, I'm able to actually synchronize my local rig here, audio and video, and that synchronizes with everyone who's on the session at the frame and sample level, meaning that we will actually be watching this back with sample and frame accuracy all together watching the same frame. So I can give a little demonstration of how that works. So if I press play here, I'll go through the screening mode. So down here, we'll see these 4 system modes. So we have screening mode, we have a mode we call mix mode, the next one is isolate, and the last one is live edit. Now in screening mode, this is the one where it's sample and frame accurate, and we're able to synchronize our playback machines together. So if I press play, it holds on for a second, and then it's going to synchronize and lock in play. Now, John, who's also on the session, is seeing and hearing that at the same time that I'm hearing it. If I were to pin his user icon and switch our meeting mode, I can actually put him side by side. And this was a highly requested feature from a lot of dub stages and music mixers. They wanted to be able to see the facial reactions of the participants as content was being played, guaranteeing that we're both in sync. We can get a feel for how the recipient is actually perceiving the mix. Now, the next mode here is mix pass mode. And in mix pass mode, this obviously the first mode, screening mode, is slightly delayed, so I can't mix in real time because Pro Tools is running at a different time than the SyncDNA app. However, in mix mode, this gets mixers' hands back on faders, meaning that I can, if I press play, it's going to roll for me immediately.
Melissa, what's going on?
And everyone else in the session who's a guest is slightly downstream from that, but they're still receiving sample accurate audio and frame accurate picture. And I'm free to make my mix adjustments, and those will be audible to all the guests. Now, the next mode is isolate mode. Let's say I'm, as the producer, need to receive a couple notes that I need to address, and I need 5 minutes to do so. Isolate mode will allow me to detach the audio and video transmission into the application, and therefore all the guests are free to talk amongst themselves, and I can just focus on what I need to do without having judgment passed on it until I'm ready to have obviously feedback on any of the adjustments that were made. Now, the last mode is live edit mode. And in live edit mode, this is basically what everyone else is using in terms of technology. This is streaming technology. It's basically a glorified screen share. meaning that it's low resolution audio, low resolution video, very good for quick fixes, quick edits. If I need to pinpoint something and not wait for the synchronization buffer, I can just quickly scrub to it and play, and we can get a feel for if, John needs to go right there. That's what I was talking about. That's perfect. That's a great use for this mode. Now, these system modes over to the right here are video conferencing controls. So we have a camera toggle, we have a mic toggle, and we have something called focus mode. Now, focus mode is great if you need to take a phone call, for example. By engaging focus mode, that mutes my mic to going into the video conference, and it also mutes the output of the video conference coming to me, meaning that I am free to take a phone call. I won't be hearing anything. I don't need to go manually turn down my speakers or anything like that. It just gives me a chance to focus. Now, the last conference mode is what we call priority speaker. So I can designate John as a priority speaker, and if he engages priority speaker, on his end, we'll see that these two things are going to light up. Oh, it's probably. So he can, when he engages priority speaker, that actually allows for us to have a discrete conversation between the two of us, and it will mute all of the other participants on the session, meaning that if you have a large session and you have a couple VIPs in the room, you can designate each of them as priority speakers, and as soon as they engage that mode, everyone else gets muted and everyone can hear the conversation, they just can't participate in it. So it's a good way to get a hold of a meeting that may have gone awry at some point during playback. Now, how I'm capturing video from Pro Tools, I actually have a Blackmagic Ultra Studio 4K Mini, and that has a capture and a playback portion of the card. So I have a little 6-inch SDI loop going from the output of the card directly into the input of the Blackmagic card. And in SyncDNA, I have set up a video I/O tab. Or in the video I/O tab, I've set up a video profile, and it's looking to the Ultra Studio 4K Mini for picture. So that's how we're capturing picture directly from Pro Tools and then ingesting it into SyncDNA. Now, one thing we can talk about, and I'll just touch on it now, but we can get into the details for Q&A. Every frame of picture is being ingested from Pro Tools. That's being sent to our backend. It's encrypted before it's sent, and it's going straight to RAM on the other side, meaning that the only time in which that video is decrypted is when it plays directly from RAM into media server, which is our local kind of host, and then that it decrypts directly to the front end. So it's a very, very secure platform. Now, we do have some other functionalities here. We do have screen sharing built into the application. We can undock the video and redock it, or if you want to move it to another screen, that is all possible. And we do have some other controls. So as a guest in the session, we can create audio profiles. So John in here has created a 7.1.4 audio profile. If I wanted to, I could do the same. And he's tested those speakers, the layout of the speaker configuration. So I don't know if that goes through Zoom's audio feature, but you can blast pink noise to test to make sure your speakers are routed properly. And from that point, we've done something unique regarding our the way that we identify channels. So in Pro Tools reports channel IDs. We have used those IDs and mapped them correctly to our audio profiles in our system, meaning that if somebody has the output of their left speaker on channel 36, left will always go to left, right will always go to right, center to center, and so forth. So you don't have to worry about, was it LCR or LRC? So long as you're taking a track from Pro Tools, it'll always map to the correct output in SyncDNA. And we do have some metering here. So you'll see these little ones, RX, TX, and all. These are good indication of connection status. coming from all of the participants. So if I roll here just a little bit, I'll just play back. We'll see that both myself and John have a good connection with the system. If someone for some reason has a decent connection or is struggling, these meters will change and you'll see an icon pop up on their tile, and then it's a good way to identify what's going on. For example, we had a situation with a client who was connected via a VPN, and we were quickly able to realize which client had a poor connection. They turned off their VPN and all was well again. I think that's a little bit about the system. Of course, I could go on forever about this, but I'd like to get into some questions and more the merrier.
I understand this is, monstrously quick for something that's incredibly deep. So we might as well start at any questions that you have. And just to want you guys to know that we are available. Dominic and John will put their emails up, and we will connect with each one of you that are interested and run you one by one through SyncDNA and have you be a guest, and then we'll flip you around to be the producer host, and we'll get you to be experts as fast as we can. Peter's not speaking.
Gary, talk about some of the people, if you can, talk about some of the people that are using it right now and what they're using
Okay,
it on.
so again, this has been a top-down approach. Dennis Sands just finished doing a monster movie with Danny Elfman. There was his music producer, music editor, Dennis's assistant, Danny, the director. They were all on. Dennis is using it 14 hours a day. Love in life. Everybody's hearing everything, making judgments in real time. Danny said, I needed more this. Dennis gave him more that. He said, good, let's move on. And actually, we're going to be doing a debriefing session with Dennis and his team. Jonathan Wales is using this. Steve Jenowick just used this the other day with one of his clients. He did a quick review session and a mix. They made changes in real time. Steve said this was amazing. There was no Dropbox in the middle. The guy said I needed more, less more. They were done, and then called us.
Fantastic.
So,
Fantastic.
I think this is what the industry has been waiting for a while. We all know everyone's using the session wires and the audio movers out of necessity, guys. We understand that, but we've built a system that's very cohesive with a communication platform that guarantees when everyone says there is there, it's actually there, and we can stop and go just like you guys would expect it to happen. We've been doing this almost 5 years. And as you know, like most of you in the room, we have no patience for technology that doesn't work. We'll give it a shot. Barry, you know better than anybody. We'll give it a shot. If it's not intuitive, it doesn't work. If it doesn't help us, goodbye. See ya. And that's why, I must say that the pandemic was a horrible thing for the world. It was the perfect thing for SyncDNA because it allowed five guys from around the world to be captive audience and sequestered for 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day. We started this March 12th in 2020, 1 second before the pandemic started.
Wow.
Not because
Wow.
of it, not because of it, but it was a byproduct that we were allowed to get. We weren't working, we weren't leaving, we stayed home. So John's in Canada. We're partners in Norway. We're Dominic and I are in Los Angeles, but we were working 8 to 10 whiteboarding. How are we going to build this? And I used to get online with you guys, and I used to hear about session wire. I used to hear about audio movers, and I'd sit and I'd go, and I bite my, and I have to leave the session because because I knew something that I was going to be ready to tell. But from my heart, this is one of the coolest things that I've ever done. I've mixed some really great things like y'all. But in order for a legacy from myself, children, uh, this is something we will all benefit from because we will all be in real time around the world with artists that can emote with us, and they don't have to be in Los Angeles. If you want to be a bass player, a Nashville bass player, you can live in Montana. If they want you, they can have you that minute. You don't have to drive to the studio, go there, and so much time gets saved on decision making. It's a cool thing. With each one of you, please allow us to do a one-on-one with you. So, this is a groundswell for us, from a top down, from the pros on down. And so, I don't care about the tire kickers at this point. I care about the pros. And we want everyone to be brutal with us. We've heard plenty. But again, John and myself, we have no patience for stuff that doesn't work. And this is a proud moment for us to really to be able to stand in front of you guys to say that we have done something. So let us prove it to you.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah, yeah.
This is Michael Boddicker. I'm sorry. I
Michael,
was sitting by
where
my.
is that face? Come on.
I was sitting by my. I don't know how to do it. I'm on in my car. I was over at Coral Cafe.
Oh,
The
no.
so the deal is that I have Source Connect, and how is this so much different from Source Connect?
Okay, JB.
Okay. Well, first of all, most of those technologies, Source Connect is basically UDP. It's on one end, it's a fire hose of data, and it's up to you to sort of catch it on the receive end. There isn't a absolute linearity, sort of bit for bit, second for second. You're sort of down to the whims of the internet. So essentially, the way that our technology works is that you can think of it as, an incremental, a really, really fast incremental upload and download of actual audio chunks that are moving through the system very quickly. So when you hit the space bar and you're pushing audio to somebody, it's playing bit for bit exactly synchronous with your timeline, with the cache offset and stuff. And when you have somebody in record on the other end, what they're sending back to you is played back through media server on your end exactly to the sample in time with what they're doing and what you're hearing. So one of the things we do just to test things on the record side is Dominic will send me something and I take the headphone jack on my little interface and shove it back into an input and just send it right back to him. And so we're able to be absolutely deterministic about, it lines up to the sample. So when you receive the audio on your end, you just commit the track in Pro Tools or whatever DAW you're using, but it inserts right to the timeline, right to the sample. So being able to judge if the guitar player is rushing, which they usually are, you can actually know absolutely for sure that something is exactly where you think it is. The other thing is that um, it's absolutely, our MO from day one was that this thing on the guest side, on the user side, has to be so simple that your mom can do it. And there's a sort of, the issue is that a review session, especially any recording session, any video conference, is only as good as the person with the worst connection. So we've put a whole bunch of work into our observability stack. So we're able to monitor every piece of data that moves through the system and have indicators on it. So when Dominic was sharing his screen, you saw there's a transmit, like a TX, an RX, and an all. So the all indicator basically is telling Dominic, is everybody on the session getting the audio, right? In a reasonable amount of time that it's playing exactly on the timeline. So if somebody's got a bad connection, we know that right away. And so our system is um, it's dynamic, meaning that like if everybody's in pretty close proximity, everybody's on Rockstar internet, it means that the system will tighten up the time slot a bit, and it'll start closing in until it sort of decides that you're all within, we can sort of make the system more responsive. And then if somebody's got, some throughput issues and stuff or some packet loss, it just dynamically will make the time slot wider. So we know that like everybody's getting it. That's the biggest problem, on a review is that somebody's dropping out, somebody's losing audio, somebody's not getting video, all that kind of stuff. So
And
it's
Yeah, it's
excuse me, but
really
the only piece of outboard gear that I need in addition to my DAW is I already have a one of the Blackmagic video servers, right? So
Yep.
that's all I need to make this work plus the software.
absolutely.
Yes. Yeah, in
Okay.
fact, there's two ways to work with video. I know Dominic was trying to move
I only
quickly.
shared one. Yeah.
Yeah, so working with live video means that the system, all of the audio and the video is completely ephemeral. So you hit the space bar, you're playing, everybody's getting it. When you hit stop, it's gone on the received side. The other way to work with video is with a static asset. So it doesn't matter whether it's a DNxHD or an MOV file or whatever it is, ProRes, whatever, you choose a video file and basically Media Server takes that file, we slice it up into one frame chunks and we encode them all to H.264, encrypt every chunk, give them unique IDs and sample-based time locations, and we push it to our backend. So as soon as somebody joins the meeting, they'll see a little countdown timer, and it's receiving all of this stuff in the video manifest. So now those video chunks live locally on your computer in a temp file. So I can scrub the video timeline all over the place and we're not burning through bandwidth pushing the same video file over and over and over again. So if we're working on a mix and we're not having to worry about doing a conform in the middle of a session or something, we can just work to a static asset. And it also means that you can preload all of the sessions. So each SyncDNA session equals one DAW session. So that main plugin that Dominic was showing you, it has a link to the session. So you can sort of preload, a half a dozen or a dozen cues or something and preload all the video files and have them ready to go so that when you're moving through all of those sessions, as soon as somebody jumps into the next session, the little wheel will spin, they get the video, and then they're good. So it kind of there's multiple ways that people like to work with video. So I don't have the Blackmagic hardware in my room here, so I work with static assets in that way. So it's
And one thing I'll add, the biggest piece of SyncDNA that I think is it's just the most relevant is that it takes the worry out of out of playbacks over the internet. It's a software that gives you trust and stability, and it takes everything the worries about is it making it there? Is it choppy? Is it jittery? Is someone having a connection issue? It gives you a stable platform to simply focus on the mix, get your notes and feedback, produce the outcome, and call it a day. There's no other piece of technology that I'm aware of that you can have this level of trust and confidence in, where you know that exactly what comes out of your DAW is exactly what's being heard on the other end. And that kind of trust and stability is the first selling point of what we do. Everything after that is just features, which is why we're very much open to feedback. And like Gary was saying, we love the fact that we can introduce this technology to you all. We're in a unique position where we are currently being able to gather that feedback, implement it into the system, and make sure that we're actually building a solution that is needed and desired by the likes of you all.
Can I ask when and desired, what is it, a subscription service? Is it I buy it once and I just pay for upgrades? How do we do it?
This is a subscription service. So we have a couple different tiers. The first one, we start at 99 a month, but we are talking about doing a music, specifically music only platform as well. But for picture, frame accurate picture, sample accurate audio, it starts at 99 a month. It comes with a set of data behind it. And then basically after that, it's just about bandwidth. So if you're using more bandwidth, you pay more for bandwidth, and if not, then you stay with your current plan. And I'll be honest with you, most people who are doing work with stereo mixes, they never come close to reaching that capping over the original bandwidth package.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Michael,
Yes.
I'll get to tell you I love you in front of everyone.
I'd wanted to give maybe just a little bit of extra background. Part of, aside from us all getting on Skype every day for hours on end at the beginning of the pandemic and all complaining about how everything sucks, one of the primary reasons we started building this system was for music. And, being able to do an ensemble recording with people in remote locations and be able to do it professionally, incredibly. So um, once we figured out, how to build the architecture in a way that we can have like a drum kit with like 12 or 16 microphones and have them all coming back to the producer, all sample accurate, um, we immediately, so all of us were getting into mixing music in Atmos, so here I am in my little room, and many of you also. So Dominic and I were kind of like, hey, wait a second. If we can do a drum kit with all the channel sample accurate, let's just try this. We asked one of our devs to just fan the driver outputs across, and he was like, okay, sure, whatever. Um, and so we started pushing 714 Atmos mixes from my place to Dominic, from Dominic to me, to Gary, and immediately realized, as you start building a company and scaling the engineering effort and building the platform and stuff, um, it became clear that what we needed to do was build the review and approval tool first, because that's one time slot. So the the broader system, which you haven't seen yet, is designed for doing ensemble recording with people in remote locations. Obviously, if you're able to, if everybody's within maybe 150, 200 kilometers, you can connect everybody on a low latency comms bus where they can all hear each other. But that can be a tin can on a string. It can be mono or stereo even, just for them to hear each other. But to do a professional recording session where you've got a bunch of piano mics, you've got a bunch of drum mics, all that kind of, like, you can't do that on a low latency network. It's gonna suck. It's really bad. So being able to push behind all of that, one of the first problems you have is as soon as you have everybody monitoring each other in a very low latency network, you immediately the first problem is you have to be absolutely deterministic that the audio is going to come out of everybody's speakers at the same time. Because if it doesn't, you're going to have a cacophony. So we built a very sophisticated backend so that every connection, every person who connects on the session, we're doing a bunch of pings and things and determining their round trip times and getting, so we can be confident to about a millisecond or sometimes better, that when we push audio to everybody on the session, they're all going to be hearing it at exactly the same time. So that's the first problem to solve. And that means that when we do a review session, um, when the director and various other people, we know exactly when the audio is coming out of the pipe. And so that means that we can be able to communicate and talk about what's happening and not have it coming out of the pipe at different times in different parts of the world. So,
John, if I can, because I do want to be respectful of everybody's time. I know this is kind of a breakfast lunch break type of thing
yeah,
where
I'll talk until your eyes
I
are
know.
watering.
I know. I've heard it all. I just want to give everybody a little bit of what the SyncDNA roadmap is for our ecosystem. We call it an ecosystem, and just to let you know what's coming. So we put a stake in the ground to let everyone know that we are in sync with a Dolby Atmos review. The next product that will come out is Track Record. The next product that will come out of that will be Ensemble Band Record. We've already done it, 6 people in 6 different places. I know, I played bass. And so this is working. And then you can be sure that also down the road that we will be having, and we've done this, door-to-door mixing where an S1 from one place will move a fader in another, someone's EQ in Canada will move it in LA, and we've already gotten interest from dubbing facilities where somebody wants to mix dialogue here and effects and over here in Vancouver. And so all these things are coming. Not here yet, but we have Dolby Atmos review, but we are in sync, and we've done all those systems. And so that's the ecosystem that's coming. We're not just a compressor that's a one and done thing. This is a long range thing that improves the collaboration and brings the world closer to all of us without having to get on a plane
I've
or
got a question for you.
without having to be there. Yes.
What's the number of people who you have put on a session from various places at the same time?
That's a good thing. So, from a review standpoint,
I
Dominic, you
think it,
want to speak to this?
I think we don't technically have a maximum level that we've found our threshold yet. We've done sessions, I think, with 16 people or something connected all over the world, Europe. I think we had Norway, Germany, England, Canada, Los Angeles. We've
had a
done
session
pretty
the other
much all
day.
We
over.
haven't broken it, and we haven't tried. We haven't
Yeah.
tried 25, but how many
South
did we
Korea,
choose?
India.
Interestingly, the upper limit is the session, the high quality, like session audio and video, is like we could have 1,000 people on there on a single session. That's not actually the upper bound. The issue is actually just on the video conferencing. So we haven't found where it kind of falls down yet, but I would imagine it would probably be like 20, 25, 30, something like that on a review session.
All in sync
Yeah.
All in sync, yeah.
and at 24.96?
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. I have people asking me
Is
questions.
this the tech breakfast?
I have a question.
Sure.
Yeah. Hey, I have a question. This is Lou Martinez. With regards to the playback, John, you mentioned, is there really some sort of preparation for a presentation of, let's say, a 90-minute project that I may be working with film and audio? Not necessarily Dolby playback. It's just kind of a review, so it would be full stereo. Also, is there capability of TC timecode being burned in, or does the actual reel have to be prepared beforehand? And to add to that would be watermarking to say the studio's name. Example, Warner Brothers or Paramount, so that way we don't have to prep the work here on our end before it gets out for review, because that's also time consuming.
Yeah. The on the timecode side of things, there's a timecode display right in the UI. So that is basically exactly linked to your Pro Tools timecode. So you don't have to burn it in if you don't want to. If so, in terms of, let me go in order here. So in terms of preparation, if you're pushing live audio and live video, you don't have to prepare anything in advance. You can just make the session, invite everybody, get into the video conference like this, and then just hit the space bar and start going.
Gotcha.
So there's nothing to prepare in advance if you're just pushing it from your Kona or Asia, Blackmagic, whatever.
Gotcha. AJA, by the way.
What's that?
I have an AJA system here.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, whatever video hardware you're using, certainly, yeah, it's fine. What was the other question?
So sorry. So we talked about the time code, right? And so just to add to that, Pro Tools has this feature came out a couple of years ago with the actual overlay, which we do use a lot. But we also burn in prior to loading and adjusting it to our system. So we want to make sure, that's one of the things I always try to make sure, because we have a tendency to do a lot more spotting sessions than review, because we're reviewing and spotting, and that changes every minute and all conversations. The next thing in that would have been to watermark it, the capability of watermarking beforehand, or should I say system watermarking in live mode for security reasons.
So it's in our job jar. Like, we're literally this next sprint, we're just finishing so the one thing that we haven't added yet, I always say, this whole process, it's interesting. It's kind of like building a recording studio. Like, all the expensive shit is behind the walls.
Right.
So what you see, so building our platform, building all this sort of infrastructure on AWS, all the microservices, all the sort of stuff you need for encryption and scaling, and, to build the system to be successful. That's the boring part. And we're thankfully through the most of that. We've sort of finished the last little bit of work on our observability stack, which gives us all of the metrics of how the system's doing. So we've already built a lot of this stuff in our POC and our prototype. So we have already done markers in the POC. And so this next week, we're going to be taking that and putting it into the front end for the system. So you can hit a key and make a marker and have that show up on the side of the screen in real time.
Gotcha.
We've been working very closely with the folks at Avid with their scripting SDK. So it's like a gRPC connection between SyncDNA and Pro Tools. So if you make a marker in SyncDNA, you can match it to a marker, like a track in Pro Tools.
Gotcha.
And it's a real-time connection. So if you move the marker in Pro Tools, it'll move in SyncDNA. If you move it in DNA, it'll move in Pro Tools. So
are you able to put comments in the markers?
Yeah.
Yeah, really? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's
going to be awesome to do live, right?
Yeah.
Okay. But to answer your question on watermarking, that's coming in our task. We haven't necessarily gotten to it yet, only because most of the picture that we've been assuming from like the clients that we've been working with so far, they actually received the picture with watermarking burned in from the studio ahead of time. So it went slightly lower on our priority list, but it is coming.
Yeah, but it's certainly not a difficult dev task at this point, because it's built into the video renderer. So we basically, what we're going to do is render the session name, the guest name, and the producer name all on the video overlay. So I mean, you can't stop somebody from doing this, but but certainly, the video content and the audio content, it's literally like if you opened a tractor trailer full of cross-cut paper shreddings, and even if they decrypted it, which they would be impossible, but the content itself, that's not how you're going to have a content security breach. It's going to be somebody doing this or somebody sharing a flat file or something like that. But certainly in
one of the reasons watermark is becoming a little bit more prevalent. Yeah, the studio does send it with Paramount Warner Brothers, but what they're asking now is the actual audio post side, to go ahead and watermark in there, because
they want to know the originator.
They want to know where it possibly has a leak. Where
exactly.
Yeah, so you want to secure it in there.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it's definitely it's way up on the priority list, but markers was the biggest sort of priority push right now. So everybody wanted that. So that's sort of like, okay.
But to answer your question, in terms of like a 90-minute playback, I've done playbacks from Starbucks. That's where I test I want to make sure that this thing works on like 2.5, 3.5 megabits on connection in terms of transmitting mixes. And we've done 2.5, 3 hour playbacks completely synchronized all over the world. And that means no pops, clicks, glitches. We had a client, I can share the story. Jonathan Wales had a client, they were doing a film, and the editor had they had a drummer in the middle of a street, and the editor had done intense edits to make sure everything was perfectly in sync with every hit on the snare and so forth. This was a film, and they actually had to stop remote collaboration for that scene because they were using Clearview at the time, and the producer and director were losing their minds because everything kept slipping sync. So the editor was on the session and he was going, "That's not my edit. I don't know what to tell you guys. Like, my edit is perfectly in sync." And the director's going, "Well, what I'm hearing and saying is out of sync." And that's, that is exactly why we built the system. So as soon as we showed the system to Jonathan, he goes, "1 second." He pulls up the movie and he goes, "If this scene plays, you guys have successfully done something." And he played the scene back for himself. He had a laptop. He joined as a guest right next to his main rig. He played the scene back and he went, "Oh my God, that would have saved us 3.5 weeks of work." Because
Wow.
they ended up bouncing
Nice.
QuickTime MOVs for that entire section of the film. It took them 3.5 weeks.
Wow.
And they could have been done 30 minutes.
Well, excellent. Okay, I look forward to reviewing it then. I look forward to.
Fantastic. I'm very excited for that. And again, anybody who would like a one-on-one, I am more than available and very happy to walk everybody through the application, take time with you one-on-one. Like Gary was saying, this is a top-down approach. So coming to the likes of you all, and making sure that this satisfies your needs is the most important thing to us. So again, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. I will put my email in the chat, and I will make myself available.
And Dominic, I'm going to do another blast. So if you can kind of give me another synopsis of what this is, we can blast it out to everybody. I'm in and out because there are people who are listening, but are not asking questions because they're like, Michael Boddicker, they're driving in their car and they're just kind of listening through. So
yeah, absolutely.
We're user friendly. If this has gained a lot of momentum and you guys want us to come back another time, we're more than happy to do this. But I think one-on-ones with people that are interested in this would be worth your time. In 1 hour, you'll be an expert.
How about we do a live demonstration at Boddicker's place? How about that, John?
And how about he serves sushi? And he's serving. Come on, Michael.
Michael, are you down for that? We put various people.
And we have Edie, singing. It'd be great.
Edie's such a sweetheart. She tolerates us.
Dominic just put his email in the chat there. I also dropped a cinemontage. If any of you are, I guess part of what is that? I'm trying to whatever.
I'm so sorry it took me so long to respond. I'm trying to figure out how to use this phone with the Zoom thing, guys. We're down. We can do this. This would be great. I'd love to have you over, and I'd love to. Sushi. Maybe we'll have salmon and bagels as opposed
there we
to.
go.
Is this a Jewish thing? Wait a minute.
It can be whatever you interpret it to be.
Good. All right. It would be great to see everybody and touch and hug everybody.
I think if we could do that way we can have kind of like, because it worked really well when we went to Michael's place before. We had everybody,
we could do that. We were a little reluctant to go to the breakfast place because we would not have been able to make an impact. Dominic's got two laptops. How are we going to, everybody would be throwing bacon at us. So, that wouldn't work.
Absolutely, though, Tony, you let me know and we'll make that happen.
Yeah, I'm just, let me coordinate with Mr. Boddicker and then we'll figure out a way to do this. But I mean,
absolutely.
About 2 years ago, about 5 years ago, the guys in Take 6 wanted to do a recording and they wanted to record with everybody else. And I said, there's just no way right now to do what you wanted to do. You guys are in different parts of the country. I mean, you could have two people standing in the same room and the internet is going to react depending on what your interface is. And they were like, there's got to be a way. So maybe there is a way for us to put everybody through its paces, but they're asking the questions right now. They're asking,
well, everyone's been asking because it's natural, but I'll just tell you, it's coming fast and furious from our standpoint.
I dropped a link in the chat there as well. Cinemontage did an article about us that just came out. So if anybody who wasn't able to join, feel free to check that out.
Tony, in LA, I wouldn't mind having, half a dozen people over at my place. Dominic and I can do it here.
You're way out in the middle of nowhere though, dude.
No,
that's why I invited. That's why I invited you.
Gary, we went to Gary's house and Barry and I had a pack of lunch. We're like way out there.
Bullshit! You didn't pack anything. I fed you.
Yes, you did. That was a good sandwich too. It was a great sandwich.
How about host?
The
about
lunch is always
food?
better than the music in my house.
It was good. It was good food. Well, I'm wondering,
It's not a
we'll just
far
figure out a
drive.
way
It's
to
only
do it.
Okay, we'll
If
make
we
this
could maybe-
happen. We'll see.
yeah.
We'll get enough interest and we'll put it together. Barry, you're in.
Last time we
Fantastic,
did,
Gary.
I think we had like what, 25 people at
Yeah.
Bonica's house that last time.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, we
Fantastic.
can do, you know,
We can
and we
do
can
that
do
again.
2 waves as well. I can see comfortably about 20 in that room, you know, not dead center, but you know, we can seat. You know what? I'm not taking into the front of the screen as well. So we can probably do 23 live, but you know, we should probably limit it to 2
let's cap it
waves
at
of 20.
yeah, let's
Yeah.
cap it at 20.
So,
John, do I have your email?
Tony?
I can pop it in here as well.
Can you just send
And
me
Gary
everything?
Lux, I love you too. I wasn't able to get to my mute switch fast enough, but I love you too, man. We had some good years, buddy.
Lou Martinez, you had a question?
Yeah, so Tony, am I hearing that you're going to host a SyncDNA at Michael's studio, kind of a live chat?
I think so. Yeah, I think that'd be the
Yep.
way to go.
Right,
Done.
that sounds good.
Now,
Yeah.
Lou, if you're, are you based? I see here. Are you based in Atlanta?
Yes, I am.
If I'm just putting this out there for those who can't join. I think that would be a good opportunity for you to join on SyncDNA.
Oh, let's
Be the guest in the session.
connect with
That-
Lou one-on-one. Lou, we're gonna get you one-on-one
No worries.
quickly.
Cool.
Great.
All right. Anybody else got anything?
Well, I was just wondering, the reason why I wasn't at the last one you had at Michael's was that I had to turn this thing on and get the Zoom meeting going here. So I'm
We
trying to
can
figure
do
out how I would do
We can
that.
do it. We can do it at our place, Barry. You know, maybe you and I'll get together a week before, and
Oh,
Well, I just need the Zoom link. and
I've got gigabit
get-
Ethernet. We
get
should
the-
be able to make it.
all right, you just
Yeah.
need, Tom, we'll just come over, Michael, to your place and do a setup to make sure we're,
Fantastic.
It'll be
You're
a lot of
welcome
fun,
at my
guys.
house anytime, Gary. It'd be great.
Suddenly there was a knock at the door.
I'm not home. I'm sitting at Starbucks in the
And
the
Millie's
parking lot.
here.
All right.
Wonderful.
All right.
Send me everything you got, and I'm going to get this out as quick as we can to everybody. But thank you all so much. It was wonderful, and many
you for
more
your
questions are
patience.
coming. All right.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
We love y'all. Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so
We'll see you
much.
soon.
Thank you,
okay?
Tony. Thank you, Barry.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Thank you guys. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, Barry.
John Eric, thank
Time,
you for
everyone.
staying up.